Now, Instagram has spies, Facebook has spies, YouTube has spies, Twitter has spies. Do you all remember the black female kidnapping epidemic? Do you all remember the black female kidnapping epidemic? Now, I want you all to listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. Now, this epidemic stopped. See, if I'm wrong, let me be wrong. I am far from prideful and I'm far from arrogant. So if I say something that may seem as what I'm about to say may appear a little arrogant, but what if it were the truth? There was a black female epidemic happening until I spoke about it. Now, there were how many thousands of women? I didn't do my research, but there were many thousands of so-called Israelite women kidnapped. Let me repeat that. Thousands of Israelite women were being kidnapped. They were being reported missing, not all of them. But I can't remember until the end, one mother, one father, one sister, one brother, one son, one daughter stepping up and speaking about this missing person. What's going on? Now, either many of these kidnappings were falsified to raise a false awareness for many different reasons. I believe that had something to do with it as well. I don't believe all those kidnappings were true. Man, it's not everything is a conspiracy, dog. Nothing is real. This is the matrix where Satan operates and controls everything from darkness. You see many movies, even many cartoons with the same concept. Where do they get these concepts from? Many of you are walking around in the matrix like a bunch of foolish people. And many of you are going to get caught by surprise because crazy people like me are not being taken serious. And the word of Christ is not being feared. You people are not intelligent as you think you are. Many of you are extremely foolish. You fall for everything. And you cannot separate one reality from the other. Why? Because you're carnal. You can't see past Satan's guise. A lot of those females were kidnapped. Where were the family members that gave a F-U-C-K? You mean to tell me all of their cries were silenced? You had a here and there, but thousands of these females, thousands. How many of it was it? Do your research. It was in the good thousands of these so-called Israelite women were kidnapped and never found. Now, there is a website where you can go to. You can send in your blood. And you can get certain people sacrificed and have things done to certain people, as long as these people are not under the protection of Yahuwah. And there are many people who are not under the protection of Yahuwah. Okay? Nobody dies until Christ says so. Nobody. See, that's what you need to understand. That's what all of you need to understand. Nobody dies until Christ gives the word. He holds the entire creation up by the word of his power. Those who it's time to go, go. And that's the end of the discussion. Now, then, after the female kidnapping epidemic, we had an assassination epidemic. Okay? We had an assassination epidemic. Didn't one guy come out of jail and was shot? Now, are there some cold-blooded Negroes out there? Sure there are. Sure, there are cold-blooded Negroes out there. And we are a very wicked, wicked, wicked people. But we are not as wicked as some of you other nations. We're wicked because we're a house divided against ourselves. We're wicked because of the way we treat one another. We're wicked because of the things that we do to one another. We're wicked because we destroy one another. We're wicked because we crucify one another. But the other nations supersede, or shall I say, surpass our wickedness. Now, that man, you all remember this case. I don't remember the names. The rapper, if he was a rapper, was he so? When he got out of prison, somebody rode up on him soon as he walked out the gates and shot him 50, 60 times, right? They let a few banana clips. Now, I don't know. That could have been some niggas, right? That did that, right? But what about the other person? And I believe this took place somewhere in West Philly, right? He got shot 100 times. Now, in most cases, you don't see Negroes do crimes like that. I'm not saying we haven't. Am I saying that one nigga has never decapitated another nigga? Sure, it's happened. Am I saying that one nigga has never cut up another nigga and put his leg over there and his one leg over there and his arm over there and his chest over there, his torso over there and his head over there? Sure, it's happened. Sure. Am I saying that one nigga hasn't shot another nigga 100 times? I'm sure it probably happened. But what are the odds? It's very rare. Those aren't black people crimes. Those are the crimes of the other nations. The brutal and the wickedness of the Caucasian and Afghanistanians can be brutal. And the Amalekites can be very brutal and very wicked. But it's not as so much for the children of Elohim. Even the wicked ones even the wicked of our people. The majority of the wicked of our people don't think to cut bodies in pieces. Why? Because our mind isn't wired in such a wicked, torturous manner like the other nations. So if you want to say that one man, one Negro shot another Negro, we don't even take the time to do that, because 100 rounds is a lot of rounds. 100 rounds is a lot of rounds. Now, you can research it. I didn't bring up all of this. Why? Because I've already did a message on this. Many of you remember, you all know about the female kidnapping epidemic. I know you know about that. If you don't know about it, you can research it. Many of you understand the assassination epidemic that took place when niggas was getting shot 50 times plus, which is unheard of, right? Why? Because when a nigga do another nigga, he's trying to get out of there. You know how long you got to stand there to let off 100 rounds? So if you have a fully automatic weapon, you're talking about 10 seconds. That's a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a long time. 10 seconds is a long time. You're a black man. You know that if somebody see you, they're going to tell on you. You're not waiting around. Blam, blam, and you're on your way, right? It only takes one bullet to disengage the assailant, right? Or it only takes one bullet. That's not the word, right? It only takes one bullet to stop the assailant, right? One bullet. One well-placed bullet, right? Maybe you got a banana of 20. Okay, so you waste 20 or 30, but then you're gone, right? So 100, that's an assassination. That's not, oh, he got a problem with him. That's not, he stole $25K from him and, he's having sex with his girlfriend and that foolishness. That's an assassination. That's a hit. And it's not, the likelihood is, now, there's a way to get rid of people. And you don't even have to do it. All you got to do is go to that website. Damn, dog, why are you telling people this? It ain't going to work on certain people, believe me. It's going to fail. And be careful who you putting the hit out on. Because if Christ's dealing with that person, you in trouble. Okay? Now, I'm warning y'all. All right? Now, then there was a carjacking epidemic. Right? That's allegedly died down. Right? That's no more, right? Speak on these things, and these things stop. Those young men were being paid. Many of them young boys that was robbing a car, they didn't even know how to use a gun. What about that little young boy that they got caught? Got caught in that Metro store, that phone store or whatever? The guy grabbed the gun and wrestled the young boy and beat the young boy up, right? Young boy had the gun. Was it even loaded? There was a lot of young boys, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and they were being paid to do these things. By who? I'm not completely clear, but I don't think that other black people put these young boys up to it. Just like how the Ku Klux Klan can leave weapons, and just like how the government put weapons and drugs in our communities. I'm trying to tell y'all that these are outside community jobs, paying young boys, just like was it supposed to have been the boy Ricky Ross that was bringing back and forth all of those drugs into the neighborhood. And who was he working for? Probably the CIA. See, there's a lot of moles and wicked ass niggas that do things to bring discord among their own people. I'm trying to tell y'all this right now. And you have to understand these things, and you have to be sharp. Everything that's taking place is not, the crime is decreasing amongst our people. Why? Because of the word of God, the word of Christ that's being issued throughout the Israelite communities. The crimes are decreasing. They're not increasing. Well, these murders and these murders. Okay. I'm not going to be a fool, and I'm not going to be over doing it by saying everything that's happening is a conspiracy. I'm not saying that. Many of these things are very real. A lot of these things that are taking place are very authentic. But we're not the nation that is divided as we once was. Satan's speeding up things. Why? Because more and more Negroes are following the commandments of Elohim, starting with their belief. Now, I'm going to put you on pause for a minute. Okay, Let's go to Leviticus. I'm actually doing this message not spontaneously, but I'm actually putting it together as I'm doing it. This is the first time I ever did this. Why? Because I don't want to be very late. I really want to. This is Wednesday evening, and I really want to let it loose no later than 12. If not, it'll have to be released tomorrow because I'm really, So this is Leviticus 18 and 21. This is the Old Testament. 18 and 21. The Old Testament. 18 and 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire of Moloch, neither shalt thou profane the name of Yahuwah. Profane the name of Elohim. I am Yahuwah. He said, you shall not let any of your children, so in other words, you shall not sacrifice your children to false gods. You shall not sacrifice your children to Satan. And do not profane, do not bring the name of Yahuwah to nothing. I am Yahuwah. Leviticus 18 and 21. Now, what happens in Hollywood? Well, I'm going to give you a list of things here, right? First of all, I need you to understand something, right? There is a Masonic order that is the foundation of Hollywood. This Masonic order is a covenant with Satan. Now, at once upon a time, I believe that Michael Jordan might have been the first person, the first athlete that was brought into the Masonic order. Now, the Masonic order and Illuminati are the same thing. They're the same thing. Now, many of you need to understand something. There is a price that you all must pay to be a high-paid actor. You one of them niggas that make $20, $30 million a movie, huh? You one of them, huh? Huh? Yeah? Huh? You one of them white people that make $20, $30 because the actors are white, they're black, they're this, they're that, right? So, but I would like to speak to my people because I want you all to understand what you got yourself involved in. And I know, so, do not allow any one of your children to pass through the fire of Moloch. Now, what does that mean? Well, there was an actual sacrifice that took place where people would take their children to this giant cave, and it was fire in the cave, and they would take the little baby and they would throw the baby in the fire as a gift to Moloch, right? That was a payment, okay? It was a payment. Now, that's not the only way sacrifice can take place. Sacrifice does not necessarily mean immediate destruction, meaning there's more ways to sacrifice your child than to throw them in the fire. Some of you actors and comedians and whatever the case out there, right? And you big-time singers and rappers, whatever the case, some of you all, your daughter dresses like a man, your son dresses like a woman. Many of you have tried to sacrifice your son. Many of you have went on talk shows. I remember Will Smith going on the Ellen show and pretty much kissing his son in the lips. That was a ritual, okay? And it's a form of sacrifice, okay? Didn't Wade in Union sacrifice his son? He didn't throw him in the fire. It's not immediate destruction. Now, I want you all to understand something, okay? Now, I can refrain from using names. I don't have a problem with that. I'll refrain from using names. Why? Because it's really, it's not fair. But I don't want anybody to be disrespected in this message, okay? Now, in any event, I need you all to understand it. Not that that's necessarily disrespect either, but right now, I'm going to be, as you would call it, cordial for the meantime, for right now. Okay? Later on in this so-called career I have, Christ is going to be expect me to be bolder. Okay? But right now, let's be a little bit more cordial, shall we? So, we have to understand that children are also sacrificed in the destruction, because children will believe almost anything, especially between the ages of 0, or shall I say, fresh out the womb, to 7. And then they're still very believing from 7 to 14. From 0 to 7, their brain is developing the most and the most rapid. It's the most intense brain development from fresh out the womb to age 7. That's when and then it slows down as you get older, because it becomes bigger and the capacity becomes larger. The brain development slows down as you become older, because the brain becomes more complex and the capacity of the brain becomes more abundant. So it slows down. And though you still process things with the speed of thought, which is, the speed of thought is much faster than the speed of light. The speed of light is what? A split second? Or one tenth of a second? Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. So the speed of thought is like a millisecond, okay? Which is faster than the speed of light. The speed of light is faster than the speed of sound. The speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. So you got to understand that brain development from fresh out the womb to 7 is tremendous, which is the reason why you have to be very careful of what your children absorb from that age. Okay? Now, much sacrifice goes on in Hollywood. So these are the sacrifices that take place in Hollywood. Do your research at what I'm about to tell you. You don't believe me? Do your research. Here's one form of sacrifice. There are women in Hollywood that have sacrificed their first child. Many women have had abortions and have passed their child through Moloch, through the fire to Moloch, which is pretty much means to sacrifice. For what? In order to continue in their fame and their fame and fortune. See, God, G-A-D, is also the God of fortune and future. Satan is the power of fortune and future. He's the he's the proprietor of that. Right? Now, what you also have to understand, that diffusing your child's thought of gender is a form of sacrifice. Diffusing your child's right to be, diffusing a young man's right to be a man, diffusing a young woman's right to be a young woman is a form of sacrifice. Okay? Abortions take place. Okay? Some people in Hollywood have even put hits out on their children. Now, these sacrifices also take place from friends, mothers. How many of you have sacrificed your mother and your father? How many of you have done that? How many of you think that you're going to walk away with that? How many? How many of you people in Hollywood think that you're going to walk away from that? Huh? Do you think that you're going to walk away from sacrifice? You don't fear Christ, do you? You're a foolish person. How many of you... Now, what you need to understand, that when Illuminati comes to get their pay, now, a lot of people, there was a mandatory homosexual payment. There was a mandatory homosexual ritual. I don't know if it's so mandatory anymore, because a lot of people in Hollywood saying, man, fuck that. I ain't doing that. Yeah, what else? What else? What else? Give me something else. I'll do something else. I'm not doing that. Some of these men in Hollywood not having it. There was a mandatory wearing a dress. I believe Dennis Rodman was paid $10 million or some odd money to wear the dress when he wore it. Dennis Rodman is not gay. Dennis Rodman is not a homosexual. No, he's not. No, he's not. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the man ain't gay, right? There's a lot of men in Hollywood that wore dresses that aren't homosexuals. But at one time, the dress was a mandatory ritual. I don't know if it's so mandatory anymore. Because, see, a lot of niggas is getting in Hollywood now. They say, listen, give me an option. And the higher-ups bringing options to them. Well, this or this. Both Mike and Serena are married to Caucasians. They get that big money, and the man come to you and say, I got an offer that you can't refuse. But I'm gonna give you an option though. You want to keep this up? You want to keep that sneaker line rolling? Serena, you want to keep these endorsements rolling? You don't want no sly shit to come out about you? You don't want me to turn your fucking bank account off? Okay, marry the white boy then. Marry the white boy. You F up, he get half your shit. See, y'all playing games for a couple dollars. The kingdom is priceless. There's no amount of money in Hollywood. I'm not saying all of you are lost, but many of you will not repent. There are rituals called humiliation rituals. You want to sit down at the table with your wife, and she tell you how somebody else is having sex with her, or all of these things, whatever the case. Now, me personally, I love my people. You can get angry if you want to get angry. But what I'm doing is I'm giving you all a warning to get out, no matter the cost. You have an opportunity. You have a chance to get out by making back your covenant with the one who created you. The only way to do it is through Yahusha. There's a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, about Lady Gaga having to pay her assistant overtime. Her assistant sued her for overtime because she wanted her to sleep in the bed with her because she was seeing demons in her mirrors. She got rid of all her mirrors and got sued by her assistant because she didn't want to stay in the house alone. When you sign your name in blood, not all of you sign your name in blood. Some of you just made a pact. You shook hands with Satan. But many of you have given the Illuminati your blood. And when you do that, these things become mandatory. You do them, or we throw you in jail. We set you, because we already set you up. We already got you on this. We already got you on that. Many of you rappers then kissed and fucked. Y'all can't walk away from that shit. There's no walking away from that shit. You can get mad at me or you can listen to me because hell is real. Hellfire is real. You can take this as love or you can take this as hate. But the only way out is the blood covenant with Yahushua HaMashiach. Are you more afraid of poverty or you more afraid of Satan than the hellfire?